Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well, or as well as you can in these circumstances. Earlier today, I had the great displeasure of watching Trump's meeting with Volodymyr Zelenskyy, president of Ukraine, and I'm not going to lie, it was an unmitigated show. I don't normally speak like that in this kind of tone or in this terms of in these terms of vulgarity, but the fact of the matter is this was a mess and it was a clear 180-degree turn against a country that is in desperate need of help against a tyrant and a war criminal in Vladimir Putin. I've got a couple notes here I just want to go over real quick, and then I'll get into some of the reasons why this is just so unbelievably disrespectful and unbelievably stupid and cruel. First of all, let's just be blunt. There was absolutely no reason why the staff of the White House had to be so blatantly disrespectful to a president that is trying to fight and protect his people for the last 3 years. At one point, one of the staff members asked why he wasn't wearing a suit. Gee, I wonder why a wartime president isn't going around in his finest, looking nice, and trying to make himself appear as pleasant to Donald Trump as humanly possible. Maybe, just maybe, he's trying to send a signal to his people that he is with them in their spirit, in their conditions, because, morale. It sounds to me like that would be like a pretty important part of why he was dressing like that. But there's another issue here, and that is the actual deal that Zelensky was trying to sign, and that is this rare earth mineral deal. Basically, the Trump administration wanted Ukraine to give access to rare earth minerals in Ukraine in exchange for the aid. In other words, if Ukraine wanted to get the aid that it so desperately needed to protect itself from Russian aggression, it had to go and provide its own resources that it has a right to as a sovereign nation to the United States as a form of saying, please don't let us die, we'll pay you. How unbelievably imperialistic, cruel, and ridiculous. And yet Zelensky was there to sign that deal just to protect his people. And yet the Trump administration, through J.D. Vance and Donald Trump himself, failed to communicate a clear vision to protect Ukraine's future. And quite frankly, I think this was intentional. But the other side of this is just how blatantly ignorant and stupid their approach has been. They have no idea what they are doing. For one, they are continually ignoring and have outright downplayed the role Russia has played in this war. For example, when Zelensky was trying to explain that this war not only predates much of Trump's concerns, but also predates his presidency since Russia got involved in 2014, they actively shut him down and refused to let him explain why he wants so many security guarantees.
Human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough, but you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him. A lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are
President,
not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count one.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's
I
respectful
will answer.
to come to the Oval Office
I
of the
will
United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
Russia has been led by the same person for 25 years in Vladimir Putin. And again, they have violated their agreements. For one, they started the war in 2014 when they supported separatists who were attacking Ukrainian government offices in the Donbass region. Ignoring and downplaying that is beyond ridiculous, especially because the Russians were lying and saying that they had absolutely no connection to those groups, when in reality, they began to annex much of that territory in the last several years. But that's a whole other thing. And the other side of this is the fact that Russia continuously lies about its operations. In 2022, when they were amassing at the border, they claimed that the United States was being hysterical and that they were actively involved in training exercises with Belarus. But instead, they blatantly crossed Ukrainian borders, waged war against the Ukrainian people, and violated international law and the Budapest Memorandum of 1994 and many other negotiated agreements. So again, why would Zelenskyy trust the Russian word alone? Why wouldn't they seek out guarantees of their national security? It makes no sense. He is actively asking for security guarantees because if they sign on the dotted line with Russia and they make an agreement, they could seriously risk another war if Russia does not have any checks on its ability to kill Ukrainian citizens and civilians. And make no mistake, Russia has consistently killed Ukrainian civilians. And yet, we have to continually play this game that there is an equivalency between Ukraine and Russia. But more on this, I want to heavily emphasize that when we're talking about Putin and the way that Trump was consistently talking about Zelensky's rhetoric, he seemed to be unable or downright unwilling to acknowledge that Putin is a war criminal. Putin currently has a warrant out for his arrest for the illegal deportation and kidnapping of Ukrainian children in the thousands. While estimates vary, Russia has an estimated 19,500 Ukrainian children in their custody or have been deported from Ukraine. If you are so interested in protecting the children, why does it stop to nearly 20,000 Ukrainian children? Why is that acceptable? If anybody else did that to you, if anybody did that to your family, you would not accept it. So why should Ukrainians have to accept it from Russia? This is an administration that is consumed by its desire to kowtow to oligarchs and dictators. And if you think for a moment that Trump cares about the health, security, or well being of the millions of people in Ukraine, maybe, just maybe, ask him what he thinks about all the people who were displaced by Russian bombing. The fact of the matter is, this war was not started by Vladimir Zelenskyy or the Ukrainian government. It was started by the Russian Federation and Vladimir Putin. And the fact that they will not hold Putin accountable tells you everything you need to know about this administration and how corrupt it is.